Please excuse the salt and sand in my kayak. I got back from the beach and haven't hosed it out yet. While I'm out here showing you the sail, I'll show you a couple other little things that I have on my kayak that I've made. I have this anchor trolley going from the front to the back, and with all the things I carry in my kayak, the last thing I need is an anchor, so I use a stakeout pole. And this anchor trolley allows me to connect this dog lead. It's on the back here. I have it, the dog lead handle is inside the kayak up in front. There's the handle to the dog leash that goes through to the back of the kayak underneath and then comes out here. Allow it to go in or out, and I brought the lead inside the kayak to the back here, and this little doodad here is the inside of a hairspray nozzle for the non-aerosol version. I just took it completely apart and took the little hose thing out of it, and I drilled a hole in the kayak and I glued this on with marine quality glue. And there was even like a little washer thing in here that I was able to put on the back and push it up and glue it. That's very sturdy in there. I just don't like to spend money if I don't have to. Sometimes I can't help myself. I just look at things and I see how they would come apart and be able to be made into something else. This is what I use to put on the back of the kayak to run the dog leash through. I'll show you how I took it apart and what it looks like after I took it apart. So it looks like with the cap removed. And that's what it looks like inside when you take it all apart. This is like the plunger thing that pushes up and down inside. I snipped the end off to the left there, took the spring out. Take the plunger part here and press it into there and take a pair of pliers. Oh, it just fell out of this one. I had to take pliers to get out of the other one. But then you're left with this thing. I took this smaller end, and that's the size hole that I drilled to put into the kayak, and it was a really snug fit with the drill bit that I used. I really had to force it into the hole, and I also glued it. This little flange thing really helped. The one that I took apart before had a little O-ring thing in here that I took off and pushed it up on the bottom and glued the bottom as well. And you can take this lead and you can run it through this loop. Oops. You can run it through this loop. It's a little harder to do these things one-handed with a camera in my hand and a cat bothering me. And then connect this to the stakeout pole, and then you can float as far away from it as you want based on how much line you let out. And you can also move this up and down the kayak so that you can have the stakeout pole floating out behind you, off to the side of you, in front of you, depending on what position you want to be in. You can also take the stakeout pole and you can pull this out and you can stake out right to the side of the kayak. I've also taken this lead and attached myself to things, like when I stop like on a river to have lunch. I can loop it around a tree branch or something and then loop it back onto its own self, and it'll hold me there while I'm eating lunch. I've also taken this and connected myself to other kayaks when we wanted to float together for various reasons, to eat lunch or watch birds or whatever. You can use this to float a distance into a situation too. Say you don't want to paddle right up to a group of birds that you want to see, or you don't want to scare the fish by paddling into where the fish are, but you want to stop in a certain place. You don't want to continue to float down and away. I have this extra amount of lead here. It's just a dog lead. It's for on a runner. And I can attach that to the end of this and attach that to something behind me And again, I can let out this distance plus whatever is on here. You can get leads like this that have a significant distance to them. This isn't one of those. This is a shorter one, and I don't really need the longer one because I have attachments that I attach to it. Now, I had the stakeout pole, and then I was going to put a light pole on my kayak, and I didn't want to put one of those flimsy light poles that I saw available, because I thought, you know, with the use that this kayak goes through, it was just going to end up being snapped off. And I was thinking, I already have a stakeout pole, now I'm going to have a light pole, so now I'm going to have two things in my kayak instead of one. So I tried to figure out how I could put the light pole and the stakeout pole into one pole. And I immediately thought plumbing supplies, because I've done a lot of plumbing. I've owned my own home since I was 18 years old, and I'm not rich, so I've had to do many home improvement projects, a lot of plumbing. So I went and I looked into my plumbing supplies thinking I was going to find some sort of PVC or something that would work for the light pole. I found this. It was brand new, never used in my supplies. As you can see, it's a sink drain, and it already conveniently has the washer on it. I drilled the hole, put it in, and just literally just screwed the thing up on the bottom like you do under your sink, and it's in there and it's waterproof. I drilled and put an eye hook in the top. If you drill into something smooth like that, just put like electrical tape or something over it, otherwise your drill's just going to roll all over the place, and then you can easily drill into it. This gives it something for me to reach behind me and pull it out, and it also allows me to attach it to here so that it's not going to go anywhere. I usually slide it underneath one of these, but I don't have to because it's not going anywhere. I put a cap on the underside. I just glued it on with PVC glue. It's literally a cap off a juice bottle or something. I had to grind out a little bit of the thread on it, but then it fit perfectly, so I glued it on with the PVC glue. Down inside here, I put some of this sound tape because the pole fit too loosely in here. So the sound tape is really rugged, stays there. And if you do that, you got to make sure that you start the sound tape down in this section of this, because otherwise this fat section up here is not going to fit. I thought about cutting it off, but the length of this gives it security, and starting the sound tape that far down didn't hurt it in any way. For the pole, I went into Walmart and I looked around in the sports section, and I found a hiking pole that works well for the stakeout pole and for the light pole. I have the pole attached in here right next to me, right next to my seat. I took the end off of it so that it could be pressed into the ground for a stakeout pole, but I saved it. It actually just screws on right here, and it can be used as a walking stick as well. Used as a light pole, my light just fits conveniently into this velcroed handle that is already on it. Just a quick look at the light strapped onto the pole that I described to you. You can see with a close-up that I used the velcro that came with the pole to just strap the light on. And it also, I'm going to have to use two hands to do this, so I'm going to set this down. I unscrewed this. This turns and unscrews, and then this expands out so that you can have a stakeout pole or a light pole as high or low as you want. Now, my next project is going to be to adapt this pole so that I can use it as a camera pole behind me also, so that I can get video from up high behind me. So I'm going to do some adaptations to the top here. The camera that I'm using right now is a flip. It's the white model. I don't like the black one. The white model is the older model, And I have the waterproof case for it. It has a case like the GoPro does. But I bought my original camera. It was $100 and something, but I dropped it in the water. I didn't have it in a case. And then I went on Amazon and I found this one with the case for the waterproof case for $39 used, so I grabbed it. It's a cheap camera that I can take with me and not worry about dropping it in the water. That's the light that I'm telling you about. It's clipped over there next to my pouch. This is a pouch from at Home Depot that is clamped onto a handle. This is a cabinet door handle. These make great things to hang stuff on in the inside of your kayak. I bought this kayak really cheap. When I first got it, it was pretty well stripped. There were no handles on it. There was no drain plug. The seat was broken and the foot pedals were broken. One was completely missing and the other one was missing the part that you put your foot on. So I put these handles on. These are Old Town Canoe handles, which I really like them. They form-fit your hand really nice. Your hand doesn't get tired. I've pulled this kayak for a mile on a homemade. Sometimes having a good handle is important. The seat cover. I made the seat cover from an old jacket. I had a leather suede jacket that I really liked, but I spilt something on it. It couldn't be cleaned. I tried to get it cleaned and it just wouldn't work. So I made this cover out of it. And the seat in this kayak wasn't very comfortable, so I took a few layers of foam and I made a seat cover that completely covers the seat that goes over the top of that molded plastic so that it would hold the foam and everything in place. And I think there's like 3 layers of it's a heftier kind of foam. It's not thin foam. And I don't know if you can see it, but it like has molded to the shape of how I sit in here. I put this piece of pool noodle because the seat dropped off too fast and it wasn't comfortable for me. So just this little pool noodle attachment on here, I put a slit into the pool noodle and just pushed it on there. Holds the seat from dropping off over that end so quickly. It holds it up a little bit. I have a knife in here inside this pool noodle underneath my seat. Whenever you have ropes and so forth in your kayak, like I have with the sail that I showed you, you should always have a knife that you can quickly cut things. Yeah, like if you're towing somebody as well. That's a cuff off the same coat I made the seat cover with. So hold my cup. Okay, this thing is a juice container cover. I chose the green because it was green and matched the kayak. It's simply orange, I think. And I wanted to be able to attach my phone and my camera onto the kayak at the same time. And I have a holder that screws on here that will hold my phone. So I went and I took this camera that I'm filming this with to the Home Depot store and got a threaded screw that would go up through the kayak. And the hole that's drilled in the kayak is only as big as this screw. And then I have 2 lock nuts on them. One where it comes up through the kayak, and then another one where it comes through the cover. And this camera that I'm using right now just screws right on here. I have an array of different things here related to my video stuff mostly. This right here is an attachment that I got with this. I found this in Aldi's grocery store. It's supposed to clamp onto a bicycle handle. It's supposed to hold your iPhone so that you can listen to tunes. And this is what connects to this on your bicycle to hold the phone. It was something like $12, but I've looked online. It's a lot more expensive online. And this right here, this screw comes out of there. This goes onto here like this, and that screw comes up through the top. Well, the screw part goes down through, and then the nut goes on it, and it holds it on like that. And that's what I'm using to mount my phone on there. I have a Glyph Adapter, which was like $10 online, and I don't see it in here, probably on my phone or with my phone. But the Glyph Adapter is just a little tiny thing that attaches onto that, and I can use the phone on there. Or I can take this adapter here, which I got this at the dollar store. It was just a cheap little tiny tripod that was like 3 inches long, and I took the tripod part off, and this here will screw right onto here, and I can put my phone on here as well. So I can shoot video that way also. Oh yeah, here's the end that I took off of it. This was part of the tripod that I got at the dollar store. That's the end that I told you was off the bottom of the hiking stick. I think that's about it. The case is just a sewing kit. I got real cheap at Walmart. You can get waterproof cases, but there's nothing in that case that can't get wet and dry off, so I don't worry about it. I just bought the cheap version. I do have it clamped to something in the kayak. Like usually I clamp it to like behind the seat somewhere, because I store this behind the seat here in this little area here, and using an old phone cord allows it to spring so that I can easily bring it up in front of me without it getting all tangled in anything, and it just retracts back down when I put it back. So when it's said that I have everything but the kitchen sink in my kayak, that just might be so. I think I've told you everything there is to tell you about my kayak so far. Certainly if you have questions, ask me, because I'm very open about telling you anything and everything that I've done with it and how I've done it, because I really want to see people get out there and enjoy kayaking. And kayaking shouldn't be expensive.